When tools like ChatGPT first just exploded onto the scene, the entire education world pretty much went into a full-blown panic. And the biggest fear, right? Widespread, totally undetectable cheating. But what if we've been asking the wrong questions this whole time? So today we're going to look past all those scare tactics and explore a much more exciting idea. What if AI isn't the enemy of learning, but actually one of its most powerful new tools?
All right, so let's set the scene. I want you to picture it. It's late 2022, and all of a sudden, these incredibly powerful AI tools are just available to everyone. For educators, you can bet it felt like a total earthquake. I mean, the old rules of writing, of assessment, they were just instantly thrown out the window, and it sparked a real crisis in classrooms everywhere.
So this was the question on everyone's mind. Was this the end of the school essay? I mean, you had teachers, parents, even students themselves worrying that this traditional essay, which has been a cornerstone of education forever, was suddenly just obsolete. And it's a fair question, right? How can you possibly assess a student's writing when a machine can just churn it out for them in seconds? But here's the thing. This kind of panic, it's really nothing new. This whole cycle of tech adoption, it tends to follow a pretty predictable pattern. Think about it. The research we're looking at today points out that we saw the exact same thing with smartphones. First, you get that initial shock. Then come all the fears about how it's going to be misused, which leads to schools banning them outright. And then finally, we get to the practical solutions phase, where we actually figure out how to integrate it as a learning tool. Sound familiar? AI is just the latest tech to go through this exact same process.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial shift in perspective. Instead of trying to ban the technology or, play this cat and mouse game to outsmart it, a whole new approach is starting to take hold. And that is teaching students how to use these tools effectively and, this is the most important part, ethically. It's all about moving away from a mindset of just policing cheating and moving towards one of coaching and collaboration.
And this really captures that shift perfectly. On the one hand, you've got the old view of plagiarism, right? It's a dishonest act, it's black and white, you're either guilty or you're not, and the focus is all on punishment. But the researchers make this great comparison to learning about textual borrowing. We don't expect a student to just magically understand citation rules from day one. We teach it as a skill. The new view, what you see on the right, treats AI the same way. It's not some simple guilty or not guilty thing. It's a nuanced skill that has to be learned, and the focus is on learning, not just punishment. And this quote just nails the core idea. The goal is for AI to function as a near peer. I love that term. Think of it like a slightly more knowledgeable partner, someone who can help students improve their work. It's not about replacing their effort at all. It's about enhancing it, kind of like how a helpful classmate or a tutor would. It's supposed to be an assistant, not a ghostwriter. Okay, so that's the philosophy, right? It sounds great in theory. But how does it actually work in a real live classroom? Well, let's get practical. We're going to look at two specific research-backed activities that teachers could literally use tomorrow. All right, activity number 1 is all about teaching what is becoming a truly foundational 21st century skill, prompt engineering. And really all that means is learning how to have a productive conversation with an AI. See, it's not just about asking a simple question, it's about learning how to guide the AI so you get the specific, genuinely helpful response you actually need. And the process for this is actually wonderfully straightforward. First up, step 1, the teacher prepares the interaction. So they actually prime the AI before class to get certain kinds of responses. Then in step 2, develop, the students get to work in groups to practice writing and, importantly, refining their prompts. And finally, in step 3, they conduct and iterate. They actually test their prompts out. It's super collaborative, it's hands-on, and it's a great way to learn that even a totally weird answer from the AI is actually a teachable moment. It shows you the nuances of the text. And believe me, the results are just night and day. Look at this. A vague prompt like, help me write about my family. What are you going to get? Something super generic, probably not very helpful. But a specific, really goal-oriented prompt, like this one that asks the AI to focus on personalities and weekends and to ask one question at a time, that completely changes the game. It turns the AI from a simple text generator into an interviewer. It starts asking these targeted questions that actually help the student think more deeply and generate way better ideas on their own. So the second activity we're going to look at takes this whole idea a step further. This one is a creative writing project. Students write a story that's actually about an ethical dilemma involving AI. So it's brilliant, right? It not only teaches them how to improve their writing, but it also gets them thinking critically about the very technology they're using to do it. And this activity uses a really cool technique called a flipped interaction. Here's how it works. Instead of the student telling the AI what to write, the AI actually interviews the student. It asks them questions about their characters, the plot, the climax, all the good stuff. And then it compiles the student's own answers into a very raw first draft. The crucial point here, and this is so important, is that the student is the author from the absolute beginning. It's their ideas, their words. I mean, just look at the difference this process makes. You can see it right here. The first draft on the left, it's fine, but it's a little dry, a little flat. But then look at the final draft on the right, which was created through this collaborative process. It is alive. It's got voice. It's got emotion. It has dialogue. The student here used the AI as a partner to elevate their own ideas, not to replace them. Huge difference. Now, it's really important to understand that these activities aren't just a couple of clever classroom tricks someone came up with. No, they're actually part of a much larger, really credible research project that's aiming to formalize this entire new way of teaching writing. And this diagram really shows you how the two big pieces of this research project fit together. So on one side, you've got the development of a textbook that's filled with all the activities we've been talking about. On the other side, they're building this really cool automated writing evaluation tool called AutoPeer. And right there in the middle, where they overlap, that's the magic. You can see how the prompt library from the textbook is going to be built right into the software, creating this really powerful ethical ecosystem for learning to write with AI. So, what does all this mean for the future of writing, for the future of education? Let's zoom out and wrap things up with the key takeaways. All right, so if you're going to remember just a few things from this, here's what they are. First, AI literacy is an absolutely crucial 21st century skill. It's not a shortcut. Second, we have to actively teach the ethics of using AI. It's just not black and white. Third, AI really can be a collaborative partner, that near peer we keep talking about. And finally, and this might be the most important point of all, the student always remains in the driver's seat. They have full control and agency over their own work. And all of that leaves us with one last really fascinating question to think about. In a world where AI is basically becoming ubiquitous, maybe we need to rethink our entire definition of what it even means to be a good writer. What if the most essential skill of the future isn't just writing, but learning how to write with an AI? That's definitely something to chew on.